This video will take you through how to use Clever Payment Plan. I'm here on a sales order right now. I filled out the customer and what's being sold to them. Right now something with a quantity of 20 and the quantity to ship. We're going to reduce that down to 10 because we're going to be using partial shipments for this order. If we come down to the shipping and billing tab on our sales order, you can see I have a payment plan template code here associated with the order. This is going to drive the functionality of Clever Payment Plans. Across the top here, I have two buttons as well, Payment Plan and Create Payment Plan. Now the way I'll set up my system is so that when I release the document, a payment plan is automatically created. This Create Payment Plan button would instead manually create the payment plan if that was a feature I had turned off. If you want to learn more about that, please see our video covering the setup of Clever Payment Plan. So when I release this document and go to Payment Plan from across the top, we can see the payment plan that's been generated because of that payment plan template associated with the order. It'll pull for information like the payment plan template, its unique number, sales order number it relates to, customer, the GL account number we're going to be using for the payment plan, this can be changed, as well as the creation date of the plan itself. Here you can see this exists with 3 stages, 2-stage payments and a closing invoice for the remaining. In this case, a 5% upfront at point of release, 20% at first shipment, and then a closing invoice at last shipment for whatever the remaining amount is. In fact, even though these are all value type percentages, because I'm basing this on a percentage of my overall order, you can see in the fixed amount column how much we're actually going to be invoicing at each particular stage. Because this came in from a template though, I can actually change all these values as appropriate. It's a template, not how it has to be. Because obviously things may change during the process, so you may want to actually configure how this works for an individual order if something has changed or it's a bit of a one-off. You can configure this as you see fit to match the process for this order. As you can see, our first stage payment of 5% is ready to invoice because the ready to invoice box is currently checked. In fact, to the right of that, you'll also see the invoice number, posted invoice number, and posted credit memo number once any of these documents are raised for this stage. And we can create that invoice in a number of different ways. We could use the Create Invoices option from across the top, or we can use a system process to create invoices for all the ready stages throughout the entirety of the system. We'll do this to start with just by going to Create Payment Plan Invoices, which is a report we can run here from the search. This is simple enough. All we have to do is apply a filter and press OK to create those invoices. We can also schedule this as well. So you can schedule the invoices to occur at a certain time, and we'll cover in a separate video as well how you can set up a recurring version of this so you can always have your invoices created where needed. We'll just press OK for now, and that will generate the invoices associated with this order based on where it sits right now in the staging. So if I return back to the payment plan from across the top, we can see the payment plan here has actually been invoiced, and we can see the invoice number from that staged payment line. This isn't a posted invoice in my system because I've not actually told the system to automatically post the invoices that are created by my payment plans. This is, however, something you can do, and we'll talk about this in a bit. So I can actually go to navigate from across the top here and choose sales invoice to go directly to that sales invoice to save myself the hassle of searching for it. Here you can see the comment lines that are pulled through with reference to the order and the order line details that are on said order, and the amounts going against the GL account we associated with this particular payment plan from earlier. You can also find any invoices associated with your payment plans just by going to the search and looking for payment plan invoices. This will simply list any and all invoices associated with Clever Payment Plan. As you can see here, just opening up the same one from this page. If everything looks fine, I can just post this with post from across the top. And then when I return back to my payment plan, which I had open in the background, you can now see the invoice number has become a posted invoice number instead as we posted that invoice, and the regular invoice has been deleted off the system. Do note as well, you can actually choose to exclude from invoicing on any of these particular lines if something's currently paused, perhaps due to communications with the customer or any issues. That way, when that task is ran to actually create the invoices, it will be excluded from that actual invoicing process, and you can come back here and unexclude it or create it manually yourself whenever you're ready. Let's return back to the order. From here, I'm going to ship that 10 for that first shipment, meaning that when I return back to payment plan from across the top, you'll be able to see that second stage payment that has the invoice trigger type of first shipment is now ready to invoice. And when I do the final shipment as well, just again by going to post and ship, my final closing invoice will also be ready to be produced. At any point as well, during this process, you can actually select a particular line and choose function, create invoice for current line to create an invoice for the selected line itself, or even reverse payment plan invoice to cancel it. So here now, when I choose create invoices from across the top of the payment plan, it'll generate the 2 remaining invoices for my 2 stages. I can navigate to those and post them and process as required. Now, if I want to reverse the payment plan invoice, I'll do this for my top line. Note that it will create the sales credit memo automatically for me, and I can review and post this as required, after which, when we return back to the payment plan, the posted invoice number will still be on there, because it is still a posted sales invoice in the system, but we'll also have the posted credit memo number, which we'll have here for transparency. In situations like these, we'll then may want to actually recreate another stage in this particular payment plan to recreate that first stage that maybe we did incorrect the first time round. I'll do this here just by going to Manage, New Line, filling in similar information to before, but maybe wanted to charge more in that first invoice. So make that percentage 7.5 rather than just 5. Again, this can be with a trigger or a particular date, and we can even associate payment terms codes with these as required. Because we made a mistake first time round, I'm going to give them more time with a 14 days payment terms code rather than the usual 7. If I just leave and return to this page, just to give it a quick refresh, you'll notice that the ready to invoice has picked up as being ready as the event trigger is release. So I can create my invoices and process as needed. Let's just quickly return back to the payment plan templates that you would have seen in the setup video and take a look at the one we're using for this process. Note that the auto post invoices for this template is not turned on. That's why the documents that are created from the payment plan are just sales invoices, not posted sales invoices automatically, and you can change it as required. It all depends on your process. Let's also go ahead and take a look at the customers list. If I select a customer from here and we scroll down to the Invoicing Fast tab, you'll notice that every customer will now have a default payment plan field that you can set here to say, this is the template I want to use with this customer. This will then just flow down to any of the orders you create with said customer and mean that the payment plan field will always be populated with whatever relevant template you deem for this customer here. We'll change the default payment plan here to a date one that I've already created. Rather than using invoice triggers based on things like shipments or release, this one will be all dependent on dates that I set up for the payment plan itself. So now when I go to New Document Sales Order from across the top, payment plan template code on the order will be set to date. And then after I just populate some information on the order itself, and I release it just to generate that payment plan, if I open it up via payment plan here across the top, you can see here my stages, where I've got 2 date ones at the top, and then an event one at the bottom. My 2 stages are going to be fixed amounts, coming in from the default template of £200 and £300 respectively, but we can change these as required. And I have a closing invoice event of delivery date, which I'll come back to in a moment. So for the invoice date, for my 2 stage payments there at the top, I just have to actually state in here the date I wish to create those invoices. So I put some dates in here. If they're in the future, you'll notice they won't be ready to invoice. But the second I change this invoice date in our top line to some time in the past, that ready to invoice checkbox will tick, and then next time we run the create invoices process, or we use create invoices from across the top or the like, those invoices will be created. So what is the trigger for delivery date? This will be dependent on your shipping time and shipment date. Essentially, the delivery date will be considered whatever the shipment date is, plus any shipping time you have set up in the shipping and billing as well. So here, where it says the 10th of the 11th, 2023, with a shipping time of 5 days, that will mean that in this case, the delivery date will be the 15th of November. And that's how you can use clever payment plans to run your invoicing process in a way that works for you. I'll have a video in this playlist as well covering how you can schedule that task to automatically create those invoices. If you'd like more information on setting up the templates themselves, please do see our setup video, which covers that in detail, as well as all the basics you need to get running with Clever Payment Plan.